You can't. I don't think you should do that though. If you
No,
found 25 bodies, you should keep them going until you don't think there's any more.
To be honest, I'm saying they think it's paperwork. I think they actually had exhausted all possible
ways
to do it at that stage. But yeah, they called the search off. I mean, 25 bodies. This is quite a lot.
I know.
They probably trugged along a lot of ground to find those. 21 of the 25 bodies were able to be identified. The ages ranging from 40 years old to 68. You know what? You know what was really weird when I was doing the research for this? I actually, and this is a really dark thought, okay? But I was like, oh, isn't it refreshing for them not to be killing children? Like, that's messed up, right?
To be fair, yeah, I was expecting it to be like
teen boys and young adults.
I would say about
16
18,
to 25.
Yeah,
because that's all what they seem to. A lot of these people like this, they seem to kill people around that age. I was like, oh, so they were actually of age. They wouldn't.
We're not trying to link anything together, though. Definitely.
No, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying. I think if people have listened to our previous podcast and got to this point, I think they know the deal. If you haven't, then please go listen to the previous podcast. We can't seriously reiterate the same notes every single episode.
Oh no, yeah.
As a disclaimer to people who don't know what the deal is. So, that's that. Let's just leave that there. But yeah, I thought it was refreshing anyway. In a gross way. Some of the men had been in the ground that long without obviously being embalmed or any sort of treatment to the body, that the decomposition of them prevented them from being identified. It was actually reported that some of the bodies would just fall apart into mush when they tried to lift them up. So like, imagine seeing a body and then trying to obviously pull it up with some sort of machine or something, and then it just
fall apart.
Yeah. Ugh. That must have been hard. You know what? We can say all we want about the police force sometimes. I mean, in some of these stories, they do good jobs. Some of them, they do bad jobs. But either way, that job must be a horrible job. I mean, I don't think you could pay me to do that job. You could pay me $250,000 to get a machete to the scalp, but you couldn't pay me to fucking do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad job. Hats off to anyone who does those types of jobs, by the way, because you're a bigger man than I could be. So Juan's trial began on September 11th, 1972, actually almost a year after the bodies were originally found. In that time, the case had picked up a lot of media attention in the area.
As it would?
Yeah, as you would imagine. As you imagine so. Juan's lawyers tried to blame the murders on his brother, Natividad. Due to the previous allegations of the cafe and the fact that Natividad was openly gay. And
can I say something before you carry on? Because you're probably going to come to this. You're going to say it anyway.
Okay.
But they're going to say like that's not the case because the bodies were found and they would have been buried at this time. He's been in Mexico at that time.
The only problem with Juan's lawyer's defence was that the autopsies revealed all 25 men were killed since February of that year, and Natividad had already left the country by that time. You were spot on with that one. Which I think it was kind of maybe clear because people would know that, right? Maybe
you should know that
if you're doing the investigation. You should know that at least.
And I think a lawyer being a lawyer should put two and two together as well. Surely, if they're a good lawyer.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that as well. They're not the greatest. His defense. Most of the quote-unquote blood that was found in Juan's van was also found to either be paint or animal blood, and the small amount that was human blood was confirmed to be that of a worker who Juan had taken to the hospital after he had injured himself.
Okay.
So that evidence done. Along with this, nobody could prove that Juan was actually gay. I don't know how you would prove that. Just start like sucking him off and seeing what happens. It's like that's like that. Oh no, I'll get to that. No, let's leave that out.
What?
I was going to talk about that Japanese video on YouTube of the where the quote unquote straight guy is like stood with his dick in a box, and then the best sucker in Japan comes out.
Oh,
you went so loud
I wasn't even near it then.
And then
I know
the
you're
best
about.
sucker comes out and tries to suck him.
Yeah.
To make him jizz to prove that he is gay. It's a weird situation.
It is pretty messed up.
Imagine that in a courtroom. How do we prove this man is gay? Get in the Japanese sucker guy, get out the box, put the dick in the box, and let's go. I don't think that would go down very well. Fuck, I got so distracted just then. One of the lawyers tried to say that due to Juan's strong religious beliefs and the whole Mexican background, that Juan would have felt a great shame over being gay, and that this is why he would have killed. But that's just complete guesswork. That's like that story they tried to come up with before, and I don't think that has any merit to it. Not that I want to defend this guy, but if you're going to try and prosecute someone, you got to do it fairly, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
The machete that they found was also discovered to have no signs of blood on it, and the one that was in Juan's possession actually didn't match the wounds on any of the victims.
Oh.
One victim who had been shot who had actually been shot, so one of them, I didn't mention it earlier. One of them had been shot as well. He'd had the bullet removed from him by a ballistics expert who had confirmed that the bullet was the right caliber for Juan's gun, but the marking on the bullet couldn't prove it was actually fired from it. Along with that, trace evidence of the blood on the gun didn't match the victim's blood type.
Right, okay.
So, obviously, I only know this from watching crime shows and things, but when you fire a bullet from a gun, it leaves like an imprint marking from it, because I think every barrel, I think every barrel has got like a specific sort of etching and grooves into it.
It's like a fingerprint, right?
Yeah. So when a bullet's fired from it, you can usually pinpoint that bullet down to the specific gun. This one, it was the same type of gun, but there was nothing really that could link it to that specific one. Another piece of evidence was that a cigarette butt was found in one of the graves with DNA on it that neither matched any of the victims or Juan's.
Okay.
Spookalicious. Juan's lawyers...
Can I just say before you carry on, sorry?
Yeah.
So that could have been just on the land, so he's been digging it up, and there's been a cigarette butt just there, and it's just so happened to fall into the grave. It
could have been. It very well could have been. These sort of things here with the evidence, by the way, I'll just let you know now, they don't really get resolved completely. So there's some inconsistencies with some of the evidence there, but it doesn't really ever get resolved, which is... It'll come part of the conversation we will hopefully have a little tiny bit of in a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
So Juan's lawyers also sort of messed up in a couple of ways. They only called one witness during the entire trial, which, if they were trying to defend someone, calling one witness is... you would usually call a lot more than that, right? To try and defend him. I mean, you maybe call character witnesses, families, other workers. He's obviously got a whole team behind him that he's employing, and then he's paying them. So you'd think, maybe get a few more.
Yeah, of course.
The lawyers also failed to mention that Juan was actually diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1956 and had been previously institutionalized. Juan had, while sort of institutionalized in a sort of a mental hospital, he had undergone shock therapy. As he apparently complained of seeing ghosts.
So
it's really so many little things on this story which is bizarre to me. Leaving out that information ruled out any chance that Juan would have had of any sort of insanity plea. A prosecuting psychiatrist actually decided that Juan was psychotic, and he was well aware of what he was doing, and said he didn't believe he suffered from any mental disorder. Unknowing to him, he actually had a mental disorder. He had schizophrenia. But this guy said no. But the lawyers didn't mention that. Within 45 hours of the trial beginning, Juan was convicted of all 25 murders, which at the time was a record for the US at that particular time. And a month later, he was sentenced to life in prison. In 1978, Juan made an appeal saying his legal team were incompetent and wanted a new trial. During this time, he was attacked in prison, having his face slashed, resulting in him losing the sight in one of his eyes. The time in hospital and the psychiatric evaluations that had to follow delayed his retrial until 1982. When the time finally came for Juan to face the jury once more, they again found him guilty, and Juan shuffled back to his cell to serve out his new term of 25 consecutive life sentences. And that, my friends, is the story of Juan Corona, aka the Machete Murderer. Now,
I don't know how I feel about that.
I was the same. The trial, all evidence seemed to point to him. I mean, we've got to say he's guilty, right? Because the courts have found it. But was it a fair trial?
No.
Doesn't sound it, right?
No.
There could have been some other things there that... Apparently, there is one person who said that he has admitted it once. He said that he is guilty of the crimes, but he can't be held accountable for it because he is a sick man, is what he said. Apparently... But this was only in a passing conversation. It was never recorded, never anything like that. So this is just... but if that's what he said, he could be right in that, right? Or it might not even be him.
I really don't know. I really, really, really don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, obviously he has been charged with the crime. But it's, people have been put in prison and sent to death incorrectly.
I was going to say, this is on this occasion. I'm glad he didn't get. I know he was given a death sentence, but
he wasn't given. Yeah, he was given life rather than given the death penalty. Yeah,
there's so much there that doesn't match up.
It really doesn't, does it? I mean,
how can they charge him for 25 life sentences when the evidence doesn't seem that hard?
I was when I was looking through the things, apparently this was the first type of case that this particular jurisdiction had ever sort of encountered before, so they really had no idea how to investigate it. They also, the evidence on the gun and stuff as well, they weren't using gloves or any sort of protective gear to pick up that sort of stuff, so they were sort of they were corrupting the evidence by putting their police officers' own hands on it and putting fingerprints on it. There was a theory there that maybe Juan's brother had actually come back, and maybe that he was the one doing these crimes, and that because, like you said earlier, why would he put such clear evidence that would point towards himself on the bodies of the people?
Yeah.
So there's a thought that maybe he came back and did these crimes, and because obviously his brother was the one who hit the guy over the head with a machete in the first place. So he's got that little history of machete on head crime.
Can I ask, when was the verdict given?
1981, I think.
No, do you know the month or anything like that?
No.
Because I've heard stories people just rushing the verdict just because it's school holidays and things like that.
Yeah, with the juries and stuff, rush things around. Yeah. Well, obviously he had his second trial. He was tried once. He felt that it was an unfair trial. Then he was tried again, and then they sort of reinstated the 25 years again. So 2 separate trials have found him guilty. But if they've got if they're using the same evidence,
on what ground?
If they're using the same evidence, of course the outcome's going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why he fucking went for retrial, but the fact that he keeps on saying that he's innocent I mean, I know the whole thing is everyone says they're innocent, but with these serial killers, from the ones